Mosquitoes, they can be a real pain sometimes. Trying to sleep or just being in the same place with a couple of mosquitoes is enough to drive some people crazy. Some alternatives to kill them can be aggressive to people around and sometimes it still don't work. If this is a problem for you too, don't worry, I got you. There is an efficient and cheap way to capture and kill mosquitoes without using any kind of poison. Today, I will show you how to do it. To kill these little bastards, first we need to understand a little bit about them. Most kind of these little demons called mosquitoes avoid being active during the day and become a real nightmare at night. That's because they are sensitive to sun exposure. It could dehydrate them really fast, killing them in the process. To avoid that, these bastards usually search for food or our blood at night. To navigate to their target, a couple of research shows that they use the moonlight to fly into the right direction. But as the moonlight, or any kind of light that comes from the sky, it is very far from us. That makes the light waves being somehow perpendicular, and the mosquitoes use this perpendicular light as a guide to fly. That's why some insects that use this kind of navigation system are attracted to light spots. Light spots emit light waves in all directions, and as the insects are oriented by the light waves and correct their position in relation to it, they make a spiral trajectory and end up flying around the light spot. It's good to inform that this theory is not accepted by everyone, but it is one of the ways to explain the insect's attraction by light. And as the research that I didn't show me anything better, we will consider this theory to make this video. The idea here is to make use of this phenomenon to trap the mosquitoes and consequently kill them. The working principle of the trap that I'm going to build is very simple. We will use a couple of UV LEDs to attract the mosquitoes for a certain spot. As they reach the spot, we will use a fan to suck them into a recipient. The fan will be turned on all the time, so this way the mosquitoes will not be able to leave the recipient. As the air will constantly flow around these little bastards, it will increase the water exchange of them with the ambient. And consequently, it will cause dehydration and, well, death to them. Before we proceed, don't forget that you can get all the plans for this project in the link in the description. If you're enjoying this video, hit the like button and subscribe, that helps a lot small content creators like me. Now that we saw the evil plan behind the theory, I will show you how to build one of these wonderful inventions. First, we are going to use a couple of PVC parts to make the main frame of it. Using a regular tube and a saw, we can make all the parts that we need. Just have to cut the right measures of the tube. The top and the bottom part of the device need a straight sheet to be glued in place. As I didn't have one, I had to make it. And that was quite simple. I just cut a piece of the tube and bent it using some heat. I used a propane torch, but it's easy to do using just a stove instead. As it's quite dangerous, I had to be careful to not hurt myself or burn anything. The frame of the mosquito's killer will also need a couple of holes in it. Some of them will be there for the entrance of the mosquitoes and is where the LEDs will hang further. The other ones will be there so the air can flow out of the device. A good sand is also needed to make everything smooth. Patience is a virtue when sanding. Take your time. After all the parts are done, we can glue everything together with super glue and give a good sand on it again. Now, we need to put in place the UV LED lights that will attract these little bastards. To make everything works fine, I attached the LEDs to some resistors. This way, I could connect everything into a 12-volt power source, since the fan also uses the same voltage. To fix the lights in place, I used just hot glue. In total, I used 6 LEDs and 6 resistors. With the LEDs glued, we can proceed to fix in place the fan that will be responsible for capturing the mosquitoes. I used an old fan from a power supply that I had. I just had to figure out a way to fix it right under the holes that I made before. As the fan would not fit inside the pipe, I had to trim the edges of it. To make it, I just used the same saw that I cut the PVC parts before. To give the device a nice look, I used a vinyl cover that I had from a previous project. If you'd like to take a look, that was a very interesting power station that I made, and you can check it in the card above. Continuing the mosquito killer device, the vinyl cover that I use has a camouflage pattern. This way, the mosquitoes will not even be aware of what hit them. Jokes aside, I think that a vinyl cover does a better job than painting for PVC, but of course you can do whatever you want. After it was all camouflaged, I really struggled to find it, but I managed to finalize the electronics connections. Besides the LEDs and the fan, I just had to add an input power port and a power button to it. After wiring everything together, well, it was done. As this mosquito killer may be hanged in some place, I also added a holder on top of it. To trap the mosquitoes inside and fulfill our purpose here, one of the sides of the trap must let the air flow, but the mosquitoes not. To do it, I glued in place a piece of thin net fabric using a super glue. And that's it. Simple like that, you have an amazingly efficient mosquito trap. It's impressive how simple and cheap it is. And I need to apologize too. I couldn't test the final version of this mosquito killer. I tested a prototype of it before starting recording this video, and when I concluded it, the weather got really cold where I live and, well, the mosquitoes disappeared. I thought that I would never say that, but where are the mosquitoes when we need them most? But of course I will post a video of the testing process of this mosquito killer as soon as possible on the Instagram of this channel. And if you don't follow me there yet, this is a good opportunity to do it. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next project.